Greetings, YouTube. I posted a video last Saturday, and out of that video grew a conversation between myself and Flame Zombie dealing with representation in the media as far as, well, we were talking specifically about video games, but this grew into a larger conversation in my head, mostly because I'm kind of thinking about this idea on my own, so it's inspired this video. And the topic I'm trying to tackle with today is, what does diversity mean to me in media? All media. And when I mean all media, I mean any kind of media that we can consume. The news, all varieties, radio, print, magazines and newspapers, television, blogging, all that kind of stuff. It means films, it means short and long form, it means television series, episodic, longer forms of video fiction. It means short stories, long form books. It means video games. It means tabletop role playing games. It means any conceivable concept of media. It means lyrics in songs. It means poetry. It means everything. What do I want in all forms of media as far as diversity is concerned? And what I want is reality. And when I say reality, I'm not saying I don't ever want to read any fiction again, or I don't want any elves or dragons or cyborgs in my media. No, that's not true. What I want is to see the world around me reflected in that media. So when I look at a piece of fiction, or a piece of news, or a blog, I want to see the full scope of humanity represented. Now, I realize that that's not going to be in every single individual piece of media. A news article that is about racing, NASCAR, is not going to cover every single aspect of humanity, particularly because NASCAR is a very, very white male environment. But when you're talking about crime in the media, I want to see the representation of reality. And for example, as is constantly thrown in my face by racial bigots, don't be telling me that black people have a higher crime rate than white people. Tell me that black people have a higher arrest rate, have a higher conviction rate, get longer sentences than white people. That's true. They don't have a higher crime rate. We know that black people and white people commit crimes at the same levels. It's just that black people are the ones that get caught more, that get prosecuted more, that get longer sentences. There's a bias in our justice system. And the media doesn't address that. It just addresses the facts. But they aren't the facts. They are a reflection of the bias in the justice system. And the media should be calling the justice system on that every single frigging day. But it doesn't. And we're not talking about the bias in any other aspect of media, and we should. The world is not run the way that the media represents it. The world is not represented in the media the way it is out here in the meat space. And when they do align, we should be talking about how and why they align. So when media shows that a whole lot of white, Christian, straight men run the world, why isn't the media talking about that? Because I have some news for you. On the global scale, white people are a minority, and yet we wield far more power than our demographic numbers justify. None of us should be wielding any more power than anybody else unless you are in some kind of command structure. Economically, politically, socially, we should all be considered equal under the law. We should all have the same kind of power and the same level of power, but we don't. And the media doesn't address that. It's not seen in the fiction. It's not seen in the news. It's not seen anywhere. Everybody just ignores it. And I'm tired of it. It's one of the reasons I stopped reading fiction and stopped reading comic books, because it was the same old, tired soap operas over and over and over and over and over again. And no one was talking about anything of import. Not always. Sometimes you do get little glimmers of hope when something of import is discussed. But those pearls were rare. And there were a whole lot of empty shells out there, and I got tired of the empty shells. I decided I would rather relate to real people. So this is my main hobby now. That, making weapons. Take that for what you will. So I want to see reality reflected. Now, Flame Zombie made a comment that says, well, vote with your dollar. Now, in the case of women, that maybe, possibly, potentially could work, because women make up half the species. But it hasn't worked yet. How has it? Hasn't worked at all. Women are shown horribly in all forms of media. The bias is everywhere. So we have that example right there, and voting with your dollar didn't work. And it's definitely not going to work for any minority group within our power structures. Because they are a minority group. They do not have as many votes, as many dollars. So yes, I think it's our duty. Everyone out there should be screaming and yelling and ranting and raving and hounding the creators of the media to the ends of the earth to make sure that they represent in our media the world around us, so that women are half all the characters, so that we see black people who are scientists and Native American people who are cops, and we see brown people from every variety out there doing just as many diverse jobs as the white folks do. And we need to see positive gay characters that aren't stereotypes. And we need to see positive transgender characters. We need to see reality reflected on our media, because guess what? Adults aren't the only ones watching this forms of media. Kids are. And if kids are raised in an environment where all the media is biased, they'll believe that is reality. And they'll be confused as an adult when they see the world around them and they go, how come I've been taught that my particular group isn't represented anywhere, and yet I see my group everywhere? But the people that aren't that self-aware will just grow up feeling depressed, or feeling powerless. Because if you don't see yourself in the media, you're going to think that you don't have as many options. If you don't see yourself in doctors and lawyers and judges and cops and engineers and homemakers and chefs and artists and poets and video makers everywhere, then you're going to think that those things aren't options for you. And that has to stop. So when I say I want diversity in media, that's what I want. I want the next generation to see themselves everywhere in as close to an unbiased manner as possible. And if somebody says, well, you're asking too much, fuck you. If you're a creator and you can't live up to that standard, go be a friggin' plumber. I'm sick of that excuse. But we can't have a female Assassin's Creed character. We don't know how to write females. Hire a female writer, you asshats. There are solutions to these problems, and we are ignoring them because it makes some people uncomfortable. Tough. If you aren't being made uncomfortable by something, maybe that's a sign that you're being coddled. I wrestle all the time with the fact that as I get more and more aware of the world around me, I realize how many times I've screwed up. How many times I've been problematic. How many times I have offended my fellow human beings. I have treated them poorly. When I have been misogynistic and sexist or bigoted and racist. And I've been all these things. And I have to buy that. I have to own that. I have to accept it. I have to apologize when I can, and I have to move on with my life and never do it again. And it sucks, and it's painful, and it's called growing. So don't give me that crap that our media should be some old comforting crib, playpen where we let people live and work and pretend the world doesn't exist outside those nice little padded bars. Screw that. I want the media to represent the world in all its beauty and ugliness and incredible, unbelievable diversity. There are a billion facets to the human experience, and we need to see them all. So don't give me the, well, it's asking too much of creators. Then we need better creators. And if we don't have them now, the next generation can be raised to be them. Don't buy into the crap. Don't accept less than what you want to see in the media. And when people fail to live up to that, call them on it again and again and again until it finally gets through to the creators of media out there that we the people want to see we the people in what they create.